3, let's go!
Hey everyone, my name is Maddie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a Q&A / get to know me video for you guys to get to know me a little bit more. I asked on Instagram and Facebook, and I also looked up some questions from other YouTubers that have done this video, and I've come up with a good list of questions to answer. I've sort of broken them down into two categories. There's general questions, and then I got a lot of questions about theater, so I'm going to answer those kind of separately in those two categories, but I want to start with the general questions. So let's hop into it. The first question is, what has been your favorite thing to do in quarantine? And I think that my first favorite thing to do has been to just relax and float in the pool. I am not usually someone who likes to be outside, but I've been working on my tan and I've been actually pretty impressed with how it's going so far. So depending on how long quarantine lasts, we could see how good my tan actually gets. I also have really enjoyed figuring out iMovie and watching different tutorials on how to do that. It's definitely been something that I didn't think I would love as much as I actually do. So the next question is, do you have any pets? And I think you can see, okay, this is Louie. Yes, hello. He is a 13-year-old Maltese Shih Tzu mix. He's actually my mom's dog, but he's been around for a while, so whenever I come home, he is here to hang out with me and be my little buddy. We go on walks. And also, Louie's favorite thing to do to pass the time in quarantine is float in the pool. The next question I got is, who is your favorite YouTuber and why? And I have a list. I think I've narrowed it down to my top 5. My first favorite is definitely Sierra Schultze. If you don't know who she is, I love her. She's so body positive, confident, a middle-sized YouTuber, and she talks a lot about her struggles with PCOS and dealing with those health issues being a bigger girl, and I think it's so great that she talks about that. My other favorites are Jeffree Star, Danielle Carolyn, Brooke Michio, and
a little longer than a few minutes later,
Shane Dawson. So those are my 5 favorites. The next question I got is, what is your favorite recipe you've ever made? And I think that it would be this lemon soup I made a few weeks ago. I made it with lemons, kale, lemon juice, chicken broth, chicken, and orzo and carrots, and I just kind of put it all in a pot and let it simmer, and it was so good. It was kind of my take on a knockoff like Tzatziki's lemon chicken soup, if you've ever had that. It's so good, and it literally lasted for so long. Wow, I should make that again. It was really good. I didn't even use a recipe, I just kind of combined it all together in a pot, so it was very good. The next question I got was from my friend Nicholas, and he asked, does living at the beach ever get boring? My answer to this is no, because I don't like the beach personally. I don't like the sand. I like it once you get out on the ocean, but I don't really like the beach, so I don't ever go that often, so it's not really anything to get bored of. I do have a pool in the backyard, which I have not always had, and I love it. I didn't think I would love it as much as I do, but it's been so nice to just finish classes, online classes, and go hop on a pool float and work on your tan. It's been so fun. So I guess the answer is no. Sometimes the tourism gets a little boring, but my mom owns several businesses down here, so her businesses depend on the tourism, so I can't really get bored of them because they're like our way to live. So that kind of gets a little boring sometimes. The next question is, where did you grow up? And this is an interesting question. I was born in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and I lived there until I was 10, and then I moved to Panama City, and then after that I moved in with my dad, and I actually went to middle school and high school in Jacksonville, Florida, and then I went to Troy. Next question is, are you single or taken? And I'm taken. The next question is, do you have any siblings? I have one brother. His name is Parker, and he lives in Tennessee, so we don't see each other that often, but I think the age gap has definitely helped us get closer. I know I can call him with anything going on in my life, and he always gives really good advice and tells me what I need to hear, even if it's what I don't want to hear. But my most memorable vacation memory is probably I have two. One is when I was 13 and I won a contest through Teen Vogue that flew me and my dad and two of my best friends at the time out to Los Angeles to see One Direction and 5 Seconds of Summer. And then the second one would be all of the times I've gone to New York City. The first time I went for like a week. It was my senior trip and we went in February. It was so much fun. And the second time was last May. I went with my dad and we just went on a little weekend getaway to see Jeremy Jordan and Waitress, and it was incredible. Ugh, I love New York. The next question I got is, what is your Starbucks order? And I have two. My go-to is an iced caramel macchiato. Shout out to Kelsey for turning me on to that drink. And my second, if it's cold outside, is I'd like to just get a Pike Place roast and then put some cream and sugar in it on my own because it's cheap and really good. The next question is, have you ever participated in sports? And the short answer is yes. But the long answer is I have, and it didn't last for very long because I wasn't very good at it, and then I found theater. The next question is, what is your spirit animal? And when my boyfriend and I went to the Georgia Aquarium a few months ago, we actually decided that my spirit animal is an otter. And I think it just makes sense. Do you have a nickname? Maddie is actually a nickname. It's short for my full name, which is Madison, and I've just gone by Maddie for most of my life. Definitely all through college for sure. I've been thinking about switching back to Madison for a more professional sounding name, but for now I'm just gonna stick with Maddie. Now we're gonna hop into the theater questions, and these are kind of theater slash career slash life goals questions that I kind of all lump together into one category. The first question is, what is your favorite musical? This answer changes depending on the day. Right now I've been really into Come From Away, and I'm always a big fan of Waitress. I also really love Hairspray and Wicked. I don't know a ton of musicals, but I'm listening to a lot more. I just recently started listening to The Band's Visit, and I've loved it so far. I haven't finished listening to it yet, but it's been very interesting to listen to so far. So those are my favorites right now. What place do you dream to settle in? And my answer is New York City. I want to live in New York so bad. I have lived in the South my whole life, and I'm really ready to see what city life is like. And the few times I've gone there, I have been obsessed with it, and I'm just really excited to try and live there and see what it's like. I may hate it, but for now, that's the goal. Okay, the next question is, what led you to stage management? I sort of joined theater knowing that I wanted to teach eventually. Like, I knew I wanted to be a teacher, and then I also had a passion for theater. So I think I jumped into stage management because that's a very good area to focus on that helps you learn all aspects of theater. So if I'm going to teach it one day, I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on each technical aspect and on the performance side of theater, so I can help my students learn whatever they need to as well. And I also am super organized and love to problem solve and troubleshoot things and make the paperwork and stuff like that. So I feel like stage management just helps me jump into that a lot more. The next question is from my friend Allie, and her question is, what was your worst SM experience? Probably the most recent dance show I worked on. And the only reason I say that is because it was the hardest show I've ever done. It had so many cues, and there were a lot of people involved in it. I was trying to figure out how to work with ASMs for the first time, and there was a lot going on at once, and the tech process was just overwhelming for me because I'd only ever worked in small black box theaters, and then to move to a big theater with a bigger cast and so many cues, it was a lot to do. It was a lot to handle. But now that it's over, I would look back on it and say it's probably the best so far because I am fully confident in my stage management capabilities now. I feel like calling cues isn't scary anymore. The cast size doesn't scare me. Being in a bigger space ultimately helped me be a tremendously better stage manager in the end. So it was the worst at the time because it was very overwhelming and stressful, but now it's probably the best because I learned so much and helped me out a lot. The next question is, what are your life goals? And this is kind of a big question because I'm only 20 years old, so I still have a lot of life left. But a goal of mine is to try my hand at stage managing professionally and seeing what that is like. I also would like to eventually teach theater in a classroom, and I also have a goal of starting my own family and having children. I also want to live someplace different from where I've lived my whole life. I want to see what it's like in other parts of the country and see how that shapes me as a person as I grow with my partner or significant other as we get through that. The last question that I'm going to answer is, what is one piece of advice you would give your high school self? And I would definitely tell my high school self that it ain't that deep. And by that I mean that the things that you're going through and the things that bother you and get on your nerves really don't matter in the grand scheme of things, and it's so much easier to say that than to actually believe it and practice it in your life. But the fact that you didn't get to that part in the show, or that guy doesn't like you back, or that you aren't invited to that one party, those things are not gonna matter whenever you're older and when you get to college and you find your people in college. And just because you don't have your people in high school does not mean that you're gonna be friendless or alone forever. So that is definitely something I wish I would have known in high school. I definitely think that I knew that, but I didn't understand it and I didn't believe it and I didn't practice it. So those are all the questions I think I'm going to answer today. If you have any more, you can comment them down below and I'll answer them. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.